And he likes to remind me, Mom, when you have anxiety attacks, this is a you problem, not a me problem. I'm
Hmm.
fine. I was fine no matter what. Like I was great. I knew I was
Right.
going to get my phone charged. I knew what I was doing.
Right.
And he's right. But
Right.
the mind goes, and this is what I want to know from you. When the mind goes and the body follows, or the body goes and the mind follows, how to stop it? Because
Right. Well, there are two big areas that I talk about in the course that I'll just mention briefly here.
and then how
Um,
people can get that course too, for sure.
yeah, you just go to our website and look for the Transforming Stress and Anxiety course,
Okay.
which, I think actually would be great for people to take. And here's what you learn about. One, there's a practice called the Wheel of Awareness, where you learn to distinguish awareness itself in the hub of this visual image of a wheel. That's awareness, the knowing of consciousness, from the things you're aware of. And those are things on the rim. So
Yep.
I do this practice every morning. And when you can distinguish hub from rim, it gives you the skill so that if I were now to be you and I was doing the wheel of awareness, this is what would happen. I try to reach my son. I couldn't reach him. And then the energy around that of images, what's happening to him, of all the possibilities, depending on your temperament, which we'll get into next. But as that arises, then what happens is on the rim, there are all these images of what could happen. This is anxiety, these impulses. I should call the police, but there's a big city. What am I going to call the police and tell them to do what? So what you do when you've done the Wheel of Awareness practice is you say to those worries, thank you for sharing your concern. And from the peacefulness of the hub, you go, number one, I've tried to reach him. So I've done everything possible on my end
Yeah.
to reach him. Maybe I'll call a friend that he's with or something but rather than getting distraught, you get discerning. And what discernment means is you go, I respect these thoughts, but they turn into no helpful actions that will keep my son safe, right? None. You flipping out,
Does
it's not
nothing.
only a Jenny problem, in quotes, according to your son, but it's actually useless, right? It
Right.
doesn't do anyone any good. Sometimes it's helpful to distinguish the hub from the rim, because what you can do then is say to your rim, thank you for sharing. I
Yeah.
see it's driven by love and
Yeah.
concern, and we'll get into temperament in a moment, but you could say, if this were your case, it would certainly be my case. If you say, given my temperament, I have
Yeah.
a tendency to want to be certain about things. And
Yes.
to be certain, I have to know what's happening. And if I don't know
Yes.
what's happening, I go to the worst case scenario.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll talk about that in a moment. But so then you say to your temperament, you say, thank you, because the whole drive of that rim stuff is good. It's all good to try to do it. Now I take a deep breath and I go, the worst case scenario thinking is intended to, get me ready for the worst. And okay, there it is, but it's going to plague me. And I don't need to take it personally, because it's just giving me every scenario. So I'm not going to be shocked. Right. But is there any action item in my worst case scenario thinking? So you review it, you go, none. You go, okay. So if this were like 2 days later, or, 24 hours later, or 12 hours later, it's a different thing. You're talking about half an hour, right?
I'm talking about 20. There was zero threat in that moment. It was
Yeah.
all made up in my head.
Okay. So then what you do then, see, when you get to the hub in the Wheel of Awareness practice, what you learn is that that's a source of joy and peacefulness and equanimity, calm, clarity. Some people say it's God. Some people say it's love, it's home, it's this ground. And so when you learn that you can have access to it, then from that deep resource,
Yeah.
you look at your rim, and instead of telling your rim to shut up, which never works, by the way,
It doesn't.
you just say, thank you for sharing.
I love this. I love this because it's a way more usable kind of thing than just being friends with it. It's like
Absolutely.
yeah, it's
Right.
actionable. And what you said is exactly right. There are the certain people who do really well with knowing what's going to be, certainty, which
Yeah.
is often a myth, but that feeling of certainty
Right.
we're inclined to be okay in those moments. Like I can handle anything if I know what it is that I have to handle.